Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the June 15th, 2020 Jan K. Platt Environmental Land Program General Committee meeting. I would like to start with everybody just going around the screen, and members of the General Committee, please state your name. So I'm Jan Smith. Next.
I'm Sally Thompson, member.
Megan Nixon, General Committee member.
Kirk Brown.
Next.
Jack Berlin, Fox Board member.
Michael Newitt, committee member.
Continue.
Glenda Keith, member.
And John Keith, member.
Arlene Hart, member. Nancy Stevens, member.
Are there any other members? Eileen, you did speak, right?
Yes.
Is Fred Webb in attendance? Fred? His name shows, but I don't hear him. What does James Brewer?
This is Fred. Can anyone hear me now?
Okay. Yes, thank you, Fred. We got you. Jack
Okay.
Berlin.
Hi, Jan.
Hi, Jack.
And I think we have also Pete Fowler,
Pete
Mike
Fowler.
Kelly, and I thought.
Is Joel Jackson here? Yes. And Mike Kelly.
Yes.
Michael Newitt. Michael,
Yes.
you
yes,
there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, is Joe Guidry here?
Not yet.
I hope
Can you
he-
hear me, Jan?
Maybe he is.
Uh, is that Joe? I don't see you, but I hear someone.
This is Joe. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
good. Yes. We do not have, is Ann Paul here? No Ann Paul. What about Paul Thibodeau? Okay, well, we're gonna see how this goes. So if anybody needs us to stop, there's gonna be little things on the right side of my screen and I think your screen that show a hand. James Brewer, I need to know can I get somebody to raise a hand just so I can see it work on my computer?
I just raised mine.
Good
I raised
afternoon, Jan.
mine.
This is James Brewer. This is James Brewer with Communications. So, Jan, have you activated your participants?
Have I what?
Can I have everyone mute their microphones, please? There's no way that this meeting can be conducted if everyone has their microphones unmuted. So at this point in time, if I could have all the participants mute their microphones, except for Madam Chair. When Madam Chair recognizes you, you can individually mute your microphone. Aside from that, it would be greatly appreciated if everyone would mute your microphone, please. So Mr. Keith, Mr. Fowler, Curtis, if you could please mute your microphone at this point in time, it would be greatly appreciated.
I went back to the white screen. I don't have any of the function.
Okay. So, Jan,
Yes.
at this point in time, I need you to activate your participants queue. At the bottom of WebEx,
I
Go
have
ahead.
the participant screen up. It lists 33 people.
ma'am. So now next to Fred Webb's name, do you see that hand being risen? As well as Jay, Berlin, and Joe, all three of those members have
Yes.
their hand rose.
Yes, so that's
see
the
that?
little
Okay.
sign. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, how do they do that?
So they, on their participants queue, all of the participants in our session, they have that hand raising ability. When they wish to be recognized, they will raise their hand. At that point, you get a verbal, an auditory cue, and you get that visual cue in the participant's box. Once you recognize them, they can then pull their hand down. It's basically just like when we were in school. You wanted to be recognized by the teacher, you raise your hand. Once you've been recognized, pull your hand down.
Okay.
Where is that? Where's that located? I lost it. This is Sally.
Sally, you're asking James that question?
Yes. Where do you?
Next to your, it's to the right of your name in the participant's queue is the hand raising feature.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much.
Kurt Gremley has his hand up.
I think Ann Paul's trying to get on. She's calling me.
Okay, well, meanwhile, while we wait for Ann to try to get on, can I have the staff that's in attendance at the meeting identify themselves?
No, I see some faces.
No.
Okay, Forrest Turbeville, Hillsborough County Conservation.
Kurt Grimley, ELAPP Acquisition Manager.
Is Kelly there?
Outreach Coordinator.
Okay, sorry.
Ross Dickerson, Environmental Lands Manager.
Okay, are there, on this list of 33 participants, are there members of the public here? I see the name Andrea College, who's from Tampa Bay Water. Who else is here as a guest?
Jose De Jesus with Port Tampa Bay.
Patrick Blair, Port Tampa Bay.
Chris Cooley, Port Tampa Bay.
Brad Suter, City of Tampa.
Dan Fahey, City of Tampa.
Steve Swingle, Snyder Engineering here for the port.
Ben Bryce, I'm consultant for the port, with Snyder Engineering.
One of the issues that I'm going to have is that all of the names don't show up at the same time. So I'm scrolling up and down to see. So I'm going to have a hard time, I think, watching who's raising their hand. So what I would like to do is try to have the screen that has most of the general committee members on it, and then have someone from the county staff raise their hand, like Ross. Ross, your name shows up quickly on my list. But see if somebody down here at the bottom of the list, which won't move now. I'm going to need to have staff jump in and tell me who on that bottom list from the representatives from the city or Tampa Bay Water who wish to speak to tell me, because I'm not seeing all those names. Can we do that?
No, ma'am, you are the only one that sees the hands being risen.
Oh, okay.
Do you see mine? Do you see mine, Jan? This is Sally.
Yes, but you're way at the bottom of the list.
Well, Ann is trying to get on and she can't find her face, and I don't see her on the list. She's called me twice.
I don't see her either. Can she call in by a telephone?
I would assume she could.
Yes, absolutely. There was the invite that was sent out had the join meeting link. In addition to that, had the phone call number that they could call into the session if their technology will not allow them to join the meeting through the internet.
Well, she joined it through the internet, but she couldn't find her picture. And I didn't see her listed, so
But not everybody's picture shows up, because like my computer's so old, I don't have a camera on mine. So our initials are showing across the bottom, I think. Is that correct, James Brewer?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, let's just see if we can take one action objection. If Ann can join later, that'll be okay. We have minutes from the September 30th, 2019 General Committee meeting that need to be approved. Is there someone who can make a motion to approve those?
I move approval, Jim.
I'll
That's
second.
Jack Berlin.
That's
This is
Jack
Megan Nixon.
Berlin. Jack Berlin and Sally, do I have that correct?
No,
Yes.
it wasn't.
Who was the second?
It was me. It was Megan Nixon.
Megan, okay, I'm sorry. So everybody's got their hands down for the moment. So we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented from Jack Berlin and a second by Megan Nixon. Now, how do we do this all in favor? If it's unanimous, they don't have to raise their hands, do they? If it,
Yeah, it might be good
Or
just
do I
to
have
say,
to
is
go
anybody
around?
opposed?
okay, is anyone opposed to approving the minutes of the September 2019 meeting? Please state your case. Raise your hand. Hearing no objections, the minutes of the meeting of September 30th, 2019 are approved. Thank you all. Well, that's one. Now, the second item on our agenda is election of officers. So I need to have nominations, please. And nominations don't require a second. You just need to nominate somebody.
Jan Smith.
Is there another nomination from the committee for chair? Seeing no hands go up, there's a motion to approve Jan Smith as chair.
Yes, I move approval. I think the other name I heard was Don't You Dare.
Okay, if there are no objections, Jan Smith is re-elected chair. This is a 2-year term. No objections heard. That's approved. Thank you. My joy, ELAPP, and all of you. Now we need to elect our vice chair. I need a motion, a nomination for our vice chair.
Sally Thompson.
Megan, is that you making an, thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Sally, you accept the nomination as vice chair?
I suppose, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, no objections. Sally Thompson is elected the vice chair for another 2-year term. Sally and I are delighted to serve. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Now we're going to go to the Theodore Roosevelt Forever Conservation Award Subcommittee recommendation. In the meeting of March 9th, those in attendance were Joel by cell phone, Sally Thompson, Eileen Hart, Megan Nixon, Peter Fowler, Jan Smith, and Joe Guidry eventually came also. He came late. Fred Webb was ill and was unable to attend. 2 of our members are no longer attending. That was Pete Johnson and of course our dear friend Gus. So I had asked extra people to Joel and Eileen to come so that we had enough voting members, and it worked out just fine. The recommendation for the nomination to go to the Board of County Commissioners was Governor Bob Martinez.
I had asked extra people to Joel and Eileen to come so that we had.
I don't know what's happening. There's a little phone showing up, but the
Stand by. The call-in user that just joined area code 813624 can you please mute the sound in your background? Once you've muted the sound in your background, can you identify yourself so we can relabel you?
I think that's Ann Paul.
Sure. Yeah, it's Ann.
Good
Oh, good.
afternoon, and thank you for joining. You have successfully joined. Please continue, Ms. Smith.
Okay, so the recommendation we had, I believe, 8 nominees this year, and the recommendation unanimously from the committee was to give the award, the Theodore Roosevelt Hillsborough Forever Conservation Award to Governor Bob Martinez. So does ELAPP need to vote to approve that? Or do we just forward it to the county commission? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Jan, this is
Oh,
Ross.
sorry. Yes. Hi,
I
Ross.
think, hello. I think we do need to get approval from the committee to move forward and bring it to the board.
Okay, wonderful. So what I would like is having had the committee of 7 select Governor Martinez, I would like to have a motion from someone on the board to approve that recommendation and forward the recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners.
Do we need a motion if it's a committee? Isn't that the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I think
I'll make a
somebody should make this. Fred Webb came.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I'll second it then. This is Sally.
All right, who made the motion?
Kurt Brown.
Thank you. All in favor of, if there's, we're doing this backwards. If there are no objections, this motion is approved. Hearing no objections, the motion to send the recommendation of Governor Martinez to the Board of County Commissioners is approved. Thank you. The original members, we're going down to the next item on your agenda. We've kept the number at 7 members so that we have an odd number. The original members were Sally Thompson, Peter Fowler, Gus Muniz, Joel Jackson, Fred Webb, Pete Johnson, and me, Jan Smith. Pete Johnson is unable to attend, and of course, Gus has passed away. So I had asked Eileen Hart and Joe Guidry to fill in that for the subcommittee meeting. But is there anyone else that would like to serve on this committee, or may we just add Eileen and Joe to the committee? What is your preference? Anybody want to?
I move we put them on the committee.
So the addition, so Eileen Hart and Joe Guidry will be, and that's your motion, Sally. Clint Brown, I hear you.
Second.
Second, thank you. Okay, without objection. I don't hear an objection. I don't see a hand up. The motion is approved. In your packet, we're now down to number 6 on our agenda from the request from Sandra Merman that our board rename the Ecker Preserve to the Jeannie and Pete Johnson Ecker Preserve. What's the proper pronunciation of the last name? Ross?
It's Ecker.
Ecker. Okay. So I need a motion if that is the board's intent to approve this name change. I'm looking for a hand. I see Brad Suter. And I see Sally.
Yeah.
Are you making the motion to approve it, Sally?
I think Brad was making the motion. I'll second it, or vice versa.
Is Brad a member of the committee?
No, I'm not making a
Yeah.
motion.
Okay.
Did you want to speak, Brad?
No, I'm standing by on the item on the agenda.
I'll
Okay,
second.
thank you. So Sally, you're making the
Can you
motion?
hear me?
Yes.
And I
Jan, can you
seconded
hear
her
me?
motion.
This is Ann Paul.
Yeah.
Jan, can you hear me? This is Ann Paul.
Yes, I can hear
So,
you.
Jeannie was an Ecker. So if we were to name it properly, it could be, we need to put the Ecker in the right place in her name if we wanted to. So it should be Jeannie Ecker Johnson and like that. You see what I'm saying? It was her maiden name.
Hey, Jan, this is Forrest.
Yes.
So my understanding is that they want it to be the Jeannie and Pete Johnson Preserve and not have the Ecker name in the preserve.
Okay, so they want it exactly as it's written here on the Sandra Merman letter?
That's correct.
I don't think so.
Exactly how it's written in the letter.
Well,
how's it written?
It's written Jeannie and Pete Johnson Ecker Preserve. And although I agree with you, Ann, that I would have thought her maiden name should be in there, if it's their preference that it be this way, Jeannie and Pete Johnson Ecker Preserve, that's probably what we should approve. Does anyone else wish to comment?
Dan, we might need to get clarification on that because my understanding was that the purpose of renaming the preserve was not just obviously to include Pete and Jeannie in the name, but also to I guess eliminate the Ecker portion of the name for various reasons.
Would it be appropriate, since Sally, you made the motion, that we amend the motion that the name change is approved pending staff approval of the exact wording or staff determination of the exact wording?
I think that's appropriate. Sally?
Yes, that's fine. And certainly staff and the wishes of Pete Johnson, of the Johnson family is what we would really be.
Okay, Sally, would you restate your motion, please? Right, your motion is, Sally's motion is that the recommendation that we have that to rename the Ecker Preserve to Jeannie and Pete Johnson Ecker Preserve, our staff will check with the family, make sure we have the name correctly, and then the staff will make the name change. We vote in the affirmative.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
I second that, Jan.
Okay, but we're going to vote in the negative again, everyone. So we're going to say if anyone objects to this motion, please raise your hand. Seeing no little hands raised, the motion is approved. Staff, if you could, Forrest, if you all would just let us know what the final wording is, we'd appreciate it.
I certainly will. We'll make sure we get that exactly the way the family wants.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we are moving on to item number 7, Tampa Bay Water request to acquire Bomboyette Scrub. Kurt Grimley, I see your hand is up, so go for it.
Actually, I hadn't intended to have my hand up.
But I need to have Curtis and Brad Suter pull their hands down if they know how to do it. If not, I'll just ignore you till, thank you. Okay.
James, I believe you were provided with something by Tampa Bay Water for this meeting.
Yes. We have we have emails, we have letters from Forest and Tampa Bay Water, back and forth information. So we
Yeah.
all have that in front of us, I think.
Okay. James, if you could scroll down to the map that went with this. Hopefully. Years ago, there was an acquisition of convenience of Talent property. There we go. And it's a 10-acre, essentially landlocked site on the west side of the Bomboyet Preserve. Right now, the entire area is surrounded with development. While Tampa Bay Water wanted to acquire this property because of the RP2 zoning requiring a minimum of 5 acres, and only 4 acres is an acquisition of convenience. That we can only have, we can't meet a lot requirement, so we're going to be granting them an easement. Could you all mute your microphones? I'm getting a lot of background noise. Thank you. So the area on the west side that is basically has no environmental native area is going to have an easement for Tampa Bay Water to put in a test well. Tampa Bay Water needs this test well in an effort, as part of their effort to establish a new well field in southern Hillsborough County to address the growth that is happening down there. This is the first step to establishing a well field. They're working closely with our water resources, public utilities folks as part of this process as well. As an acquisition of convenience, the ordinance requires that we present it to the ELAPP General Committee for their input if there are any concerns, objections, or other requirements for the use of this property. Tampa Bay Water has secured an access easement from the adjoining developer to this property. It's adjacent to a parcel that's going to be essentially operated as a center, a community center facility. It's not going to have individual homes next to it, except on one portion. They're just going initially just have a test well. If the test well comes out favorable, they may proceed to have a potable water well on this property. The appraisal, the compensation will be in accordance with the appraised value for an easement and our agreement with them. And before we go to the board with it, we need to see if there's any concerns or objections or requests by the general committee.
Are there any questions from general committee members? Please raise your hand or speak to me. I don't see any hands, if that's correct. I have a question or two. This is a permanent easement. Is there any issue if they put a well in there at any time in the future that the water rights go with this easement?
They would be getting permitting because we are the owner. We would be signing off on the permit applications. That's why we prefer that they own it. And they would own it if it wasn't a land use requirement of have a minimum of 5 acres. And both Andrea College and I have tried to explore options. We don't know if they do this test well and the test well fails, the easement goes away. If, however, they put in a permanent potable water well, that easement will then become permanent.
Okay, so it doesn't become permanent until there is a potable water well on the site.
Correct.
Okay, good. That's clear. That's clear enough. Do you know what these 4 acres, when the purchase of this tract came to be, what was the per acre cost of the 10 acres? And they're paying they would be paying half of whatever their 4 acres are. Do you have those numbers, or is that unimportant to this decision?
Well, they're looking at current appraised values, and I'm pulling up the purchase price. If you can just hold on a moment.
Yes, sir.
But but that was quite some time ago. It wasn't very expensive.
And well, while you're looking for that, they will maintain the site, I would assume, in kind of the same level that we maintain our adjacent site that is not as
Well,
an acquisition of convenience.
we haven't been doing any maintenance on the property per se because it's just been sitting there. There's been some incidental use. Let's see, Bomboyet, Scrub, Fallon. We paid $44,000 for the 10 acres back in '02.
So that's $4,400 an acre.
Right, and we're getting far more than that now as an easement on 4 acres.
Okay. Okay, well, you've answered my questions. Any other board members? Did the people from Tampa Bay Water wish to speak to this?
Jan?
I'm looking
Can you hear
for,
me?
I can hear you. I'm looking for your hand. Would you identify yourself, please?
Yeah, it's Fred. I got it, and it says it's on, so I don't know if it is or isn't.
So this is Brad Suter.
No, Fred Webb.
Oh, Fred Webb. Oh, Fred. I'm not seeing your hand. But go ahead and speak, Fred.
Okay, I just turned the hand off. Does the staff, Ross or Forrest or anyone, do they have any concerns or recommendations?
Hey, Fred, this is Ross. The only recommendation we have, and we talked to Tampa Bay Water about it and Kurt about it, and we want to set the line far enough to the east that we incorporate a large amount of gopher tortoise burrows that are out there on the east side of the property. Other than that, we don't see an issue with the west side of the property.
Okay.
So Fred, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I just wanted some input, that's all.
All right, so is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this item?
This is Andrea from Tampa Bay Water. Did you, I'd like to make a comment and clarify some information.
Yes, go right ahead, please. Give your name again. Andrea College. Go ahead, Andrea.
I'd like to just clarify myself, so I want to make sure that I am, you see me and you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. Nope, you just hit me. Okay. Perfect. Okay, there we go. We are looking to acquire a permanent exclusive easement right away, even when we get the test well site. So I just want to clarify that. If we determine that we don't need the property once we have completed the test well site, then we would revert the land back to ELAPP. But if we decide that we are going to move forward with the well site, we would keep the property. That way we don't have to do 2 transactions.
Right.
This would be from the get-go, we get our easement for 75% of the appraised value. That is for $135,000, which is substantially higher than the original acquisition of $44,000. So that, I just want to make sure that that's clear and on the record that we are looking to acquire the easement rights from the get-go as a permanent exclusive easement over the property.
And so you're saying the number is 75% of appraised value, but the paper I have in front of me is 50%. What is the correct percentage of appraised value?
It's a 75%. This is Kirk Grimley. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, sir. 75%.
Isn't that right, Andrea?
Oh, okay. Oh, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So
I didn't hear you because our volume was lowered, so I didn't hear what you said.
My question was, would the easement be at 50% or 75%, which you just stated?
75%.
Okay.
75%.
Yes. Well, all right. Members of the general committee, is there anyone there with any questions or concerns, or will somebody make a motion, please?
This is Michael Newitt, and I was really happy that the fate of the gopher tortoises was mentioned. I think that's really terrific, and I'd be willing to vote to move forward.
Okay, are you going to make a motion, Michael?
I would make a motion to accept the proposal as presented.
I will second.
And 75% would be correct, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Who seconded the motion?
Kurt Brown.
Clint Brown. Thank you, Clint. Okay, we have a motion and a second, and again, we're going to be, Kurt, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
Oh, when I was raising it was to ask how the motion needed to be worded.
Kurt?
Yes.
No, I don't have anything else.
Is the way the motion was made correct?
Yes, that you're accepting the move forward as presented. That would be appropriate.
At the 75% of appraised value and protection of the gopher tortoises. So we have a motion and a second, Michael and Clint. We're going to vote. Is there anyone who objects to this motion?
Just a moment, Sally, Jan, before we vote. Andrea, you are in agreement with all that, correct?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Please
All
proceed.
right. I see a bunch of red mutes on. So there is no one objecting to this motion. Without objection, it is approved.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, gang, we're really doing well, aren't we? This is working out okay. Next on our agenda is the City of Tampa, Port Tampa Bay mitigation request. Who in the staff is going to speak to this?
I'm going to speak to some extent on it, but then we're going to have parties with the Tampa Bay Water, with Port Tampa Bay present the situation.
So this is Kurt speaking?
Yes, this is Kurt. This is Kurt Grimley.
Okay, Kurt, then you're going to direct this whole thing. After you make your presentation, then I want you to ask the certain parties to it to speak to us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
The county funded the preserve of a tract owned by the Atlantic Land and Improvement Company, which is basically CSX, on the west side of MacDill Air Force Base. And you see on that presentation, that's what it looked like many, many years ago. However, some time ago, it was improved with mosquito ditches. The city of Tampa holds title to it, but we have a restrictive covenant if they want to use it for something else, which includes mitigation. So they have come to us with the Port Tampa Bay for proposed use of mitigation on this property. Forrest and I have looked at it, and as well as Ross, and all of us are like, this is fine, but we go to the board with the appropriate actions. We want to make sure that it's been presented to the general committee to see if they had any questions or objections. So now I will turn it over to the port and their representatives to proceed with their presentation.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes, we're all ready.
Okay, this is Ben Bryce with Snyder Engineering. I'm a consultant for the port, and we're going to talk about potential restoration we are looking at doing at the site in partnership with the city. When we look at the 1936 aerials of the site, you can see there was extensive clearing on the eastern portion of the site. And then again, there's another set of aerials, actually it was in 65, not 68, I have the wrong date there. But then there was much more mosquito ditching spread out throughout the whole site, not just within the cleared area, but out throughout the mangroves in the site. Go to the next slide. You can see this is the 38 aerial. And so on the eastern portion of the site, you can see where there was clearing, where there's that white signature at the edge there by what will eventually become MacDill Air Force Base. There's a mosaic of tidal creeks and mangrove habitat and a couple of local water features at that point. If you go to the next slide, I've highlighted the cleared area with a red outline. We'll move that forward into the future as we move further here. When we look at this area, we can infer that the areas within that cleared area were wetlands based on the ditching that they passed through, they cut through the site to try and drain it. If you go to the next slide, you can see where I highlighted the ditching. There's potentially much more ditching than that at that point, but that's all I could see from the high contrast nature of that aerial. When we go to this next slide of the 5 aerial, you can see at this point they've cut an extensive amount of mangrove or mosquito ditches throughout the whole site. Like I mentioned, it goes throughout the mangrove habitat and not just the cleared area. The next slide from there has an overlay of the original clearing from 38 on the 65 aerial. And you can see that the originally cleared area has revegetated somewhat. Immediately, about in the middle of the site, outside to the west of the outline, there's a signature change in the aerial where it's indicative of maybe a vegetation change out there and possibly from the change in hydrology from all the mosquito ditching. One of the things I want to point out when you look at the mosquito ditching is when you look at directly adjacent to the ditches, all the little white spots are spoil piles that were fine cast from when they cut the ditches. If you go to the next slide, we're at 2017 now, and the mosquito ditches are still clearly evident along with the spoil piles. If you pop on the next slide, you can see the overlay, the 38 clearing area. Within the cleared area and east towards the MacDill site, the site is transitioned towards a high marsh, should be maybe a salt tern habitat. But because of the ditching there, it's slightly impaired. We did some field investigations briefly out there, and we looked at it and on the spoil piles and surrounding edges of them, there's Brazilian pepper growing. And there's also Brazilian pepper in the marsh area between the ditches. And that's kind of indicating to us that there's not an appropriate hydrology out there and that the salinity is off. It should be high enough to preclude the Brazilian pepper from growing within the marsh area. There's a couple of parcels in the very northeastern portion of the site that are upland. And those are areas that we potentially might do some scrape down in to create some more wetland habitat.
Okay.
If you go to the next slide.
Okay.
At this point, we're still very conceptual in what we're talking about doing out there, but the main component would be removal of the spoil piles through hydroblasting, the high marsh salt creation, and hopefully restore, the main goal of that would be to restore appropriate hydrology to that area. And then the upland scrape down or wetland creation, which would include marsh or mangrove habitat and potentially some open water features to increase some wildlife utilization of the site. Go to the next slide, we can see an overview of the conceptual areas that have been highlighted. As I mentioned before, the main component would be hydroblasting the spoil piles along the mosquito ditches, and that's those areas are highlighted in the pink purple color. This is typically done with a small crew, and it's they tote a high-powered water pump out there. They use water from the ditches to physically blast the pile, spread the dirt out throughout the area, and it usually creates minimal elevation change, and it's less than it's below a point that where exotics can thrive in the elevation change, but it allows you to spread out the pile. In the areas where the piles were down to an elevation where mangroves can grow back in there and naturally recruit in that area. The area within the green hatched area, the yellow highlights in it, is the high marsh restoration area. The high marsh habitats right now, it's fragmented by all these mosquito ditches. So the goal here would be to try and restore the hydrology here where it would sheet flow from the mangroves up into the salt turn or high marsh instead of being hydrated from the ditches. So in this area, the adjacent spoil piles will be pushed back into the mosquito cut ditches to try and restore the natural elevation out there. The footprint on the high marsh restoration is slightly different than the highlighted footprint from the cleared area, and that's somewhat because the outline of this was determined from an aerial interpretation based on vegetation signatures, and so it might be smaller, it might be larger upon further field investigation and other research. Within the high marsh area, there's some green highlights, and those areas were areas identified that had dense exotic vegetation present, primarily Brazilian pepper, but there were some Melaleuca in the large center area that's shown in the middle there. If you go to the next slide, we're looking at the northern portion of the site, and the orange are the upland parcels that were identified. And the shown east-west, there's a blue highlight. That's a spoil pile that was approximately 6 feet above the surrounding area or elevations. And just immediately north of that is there's an east-west ditch. So if we remove the spoil pile and regrade these upland areas, we can use that ditch for those upper two areas to provide hydrology to them, and those could be scraped down for marsh habitat and or maybe include some open, those are the areas that we talked about, including open water features. The other green area out to the right of the orange.
They get a copy of the existing agreement that we have with Recycle America, that's all.
Somebody's talking in the background, I can hear you there.
Waste management, that's who he's talking
Would
about.
everybody please mute their mics?
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of feedback. Thank you.
Mark Wilczek, you're unmuted.
The northern green area adjacent to the northernmost orange area is another area we identified that had an extensive amount of exotic vegetation on the eastern edge of the site. That was separating it from that north-south ditch. So that was another area that we identified
Jonathan can get it.
potentially be improved.
Either one, Jonathan.
If we go to the next slide, shows those orange areas. On the 1938 area, you can see that those were all upland at that point. So those make a good point or a good area for wetland creation. If you go to the next slide, where do we go from here? The path forward. There's going to be more investigations at the site, a topographical survey of the site, so we can determine our base elevations for our wetland and our target elevations. More extensive site investigations for wetland vegetation mapping and potential other areas if identifying areas that might be scraped down necessary. From there, we'll take those information and develop a detailed restoration plan. Along the way, while we're doing that, we'll be consulting with ELAPP during design for comments, revisions, and inclusions into our design. And once we reach an approval at that point, we move on to permitting and construction.
Ben, right now, does the public have access to this site at this time?
I guess there's public access to it. You have to enter to a park, and then there's a cleared path through there at this point because of some work that was done on a bridge that, if you go back a couple of slides, I can show you something real quick, I guess. Yeah, that one works. So that diagonal road there, I believe that there's a pipeline associated with that from McDill to a fuel farm up northwest there. And so there's a ditch across that little creek there that they recently did some work on. So that east-west road, you can walk down that. You have to actually wade through a creek to get across there. But it is, I guess it is possible for the public to access the site. There's no formal way in right now, no signage or anything like that, but there's nothing to keep people from going in either.
And this is within the city of Tampa. What are all of those little tanks that you see at the northern part and on the eastern edge? Are they water or oil or wastewater? Could you tell me?
And if we go back 2 more slides, maybe?
Yeah, you have to go back a couple slides.
So can we go back 1 more?
Yeah, okay, up there at the top on the left and the top on the right, and then a little ways down on the right, there's 3 more. Are any of those, would any of those create any hazardous condition to a restoration if you go through all this, if there was a malfunction?
Jen, this is Jose de Jesus with Port Tampa Bay. To answer the question, those are existing, the ones on the, kind of would be to the northwest. It's a private fuel terminal. Believed to the southeast is the tanks are part of McDill Air Force Base. Those are have been there for a long time. So we don't believe there's really any issues with those existing facilities. Like I said, they've been operating there for a long time. So we don't think that would affect any kind of restoration work on this site.
But my concern is if you went to this is approved and you went through all this restoration, can anything malfunction and seep from any of these what look like storage tanks around degrade the site?
Jan, this is Patrick Blair, Port Tampa Bay. To follow up more on what Jose said, each one of these sites has their own secondary containment system to prevent spillage outside.
Okay, thank you. You all can continue with your presentation, please.
Well, at that point, it was just opening up to questions or comments. That was the end of it, pretty much.
Okay, thank you. Board members, I'm going to go through and look for hands raised. I'm sliding down. There's no one at the bottom end of it with a hand up or hand. So,
Jan,
this is to mitigate.
This is Ann.
Ann, I hear you. Go ahead.
And I probably just missed this, but how many acres of restoration would this be overall?
The full total amount has yet to be determined at this point, because we are still just conceptual at this point. We haven't looked at the overall acreage, and then it's a matter of looking at the actual physical footprint of work and then the area of improvement adjacent to that too.
Fred Webb, I see your hand up.
My understanding is this is currently owned by the city of Tampa. Is that correct? And we have was that what Kurt said?
Yes, it's held with the city of Tampa, and we have what is comparable to it's a restrictive covenant comparable to a conservation easement over the property that, and we have a certain amount of control. And one of the elements is that if they propose it for mitigation, that it has to be approved by us. And we feel, Forrest and Ross have both generally looked at this plan, felt it is good for the site. As part of our process, we will be reviewing, making sure that it complies with the concept that they present to us as they proceed with permitting. So there's no huge variation from what they say that they're going to do and what they finally get approved and permitted.
Okay, and one more question for me, if that's okay.
Yes.
Are they going to recompense the city for the use of the mitigation site?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Are they going to pay the city anything for the use of the city's land?
We asked that, and they've advised us that they are not getting compensation, and we are going to be a party to the agreement between the port and the city, so that we'll be aware of all the specific terms and conditions. So there's no financial compensation. And what was relayed to us is that they're doing it in an effort to help the port proceed with their additional development, which provides economic benefits to the city.
Okay.
This is
Fred Webb.
Oh.
Wait, Sally, just a minute. Fred was next, and then you. Thanks. Fred?
Yeah, thanks, thanks, Jen. I know this is probably a premature question since these are early days, but you're moving around a lot of dirt, and I just wondered, you are planning a planting in your high areas. I guess you put in marsh grasses, maybe mangroves in other places. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. And you're planning, have you given any thought to salterns that might be propagated there?
Absolutely. That is what the ditch filling would include.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sally?
This may have been covered, but I'm trying to figure out exactly where this piece of land is.
It is on the west side of MacDill Air Force Base, and Picnic Island is to the west of that.
There's a beach there. It's just, where's the beach in relation to? On the west side of MacDill, there's a golf course, there's a beach. What am I missing?
Can we bring up one of those aerials again, please?
It's hard to see.
Can you guys see that? I'm sharing an image where the parcel outline is.
Okay. Okay. I was trying to figure out exactly where it was. That's much better.
Okay.
So, west side of MacDill and east of Picnic Island.
Well, the Picnic Island's on the other is
Right there.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good clarification, Sally. This mitigation, a couple of meetings ago, I think, we talked about a proposal that the port had at the north end of the port. Has that been approved, and is this why they're doing this mitigation?
The Port Authority is always looking to do mitigation. Some of these credits will probably go towards that. We have other credits banked. But we're constantly developing. We're constantly looking at doing mitigation. We completed Cockroach Bay for you guys back in the day. McKay Bay, we did a large mitigation project there. We're always doing large mitigation projects.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, Kurt, what is it that you want us to do here?
Well, basically, we're presenting it to you and to see if there's any concerns. If you want to vote for you support the concept of the plan, that would be very helpful when we start processing these documents. If there's no action, though no action is definitely required, unless I'm advised otherwise.
So we could have a motion made to approve the concept and expect to receive interim reports on the progress in the future, so that you wouldn't, there isn't going to be an opportunity for us to say, oh no, is there? I mean,
well, maybe that, and have basically that, and staff will monitor the project to make sure that it complies with or it goes along with the concept presented to this committee.
Okay. Thank you. So would somebody make a motion, please?
Dan, I'd like to.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah, I'd like to just say this, I think this project sounds amazing, actually, and I think it's great for that area of Tampa Bay. Let's do the rest of the coastline. But so I'd like to move forward with the understanding that staff will monitor.
Talk into your mic. I'm missing some of what you were saying, Jack.
No, I just said it. I think it sounds like an amazing project, and I moved that we proceed and we ask that staff monitor the progress and report back to us.
Sally, you're the second.
I have a question.
Joel, ask your, let Sally, you seconded. Joel, you're discussing
I
the
think I
motion.
just seconded it.
Yes.
Okay, now that I'm unmute. Okay.
Joel, go ahead.
My question is SwiftNud swim program involved at all in this project?
Bryce, I believe this is just a straightforward mitigation that's not, the swim program is more of a voluntary, non-regulatory type of wetland creation. This is part of the
This is Jose
regulations
with the
required for
Ford. No, I apologize. This is Jose with the Ford. No, SwiftMud is not involved in this.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions to be asked?
Yeah, Jan, I think I've got my hand up.
Wait a minute.
Fred
Is that
again.
Fred?
Yeah, Fred Webb.
I don't see your hand, but go right ahead.
Okay.
There you are.
Didn't hear it in the presentation, but is the ELAPP staff in approval of this?
First, Ross.
Fred, this is Ross. Yes, we support this.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, again, we're going to vote. Is there anyone who objects to this proposal and this motion? Seeing no hands go up, the motion is approved. Thank you. Okay, Kurt, you're still on board here, so you can go right down the number 9, A through H for us. Or I.
Okay, let me get, can you all see that aerial?
Don't see it yet.
Hold on a second, let me see, let me try this again. How can you see it?
No.
Coming up now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Gonna go through a list of projects that we've been working on. This is the Kirby property up. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
That's County Line Road, and the apex of 75 and 275 is just a little bit off of this map. We've added this 43-acre parcel to our preserve over on that side. It's fairly good habitat. That just closed the other week. Earlier this year, we acquired the Jeffcoat property, which is this red rectangle here. And we had, we were up close to 1.5 million on this because it's part of the RP2 designation. It's clearly, you know, Ross was very concerned and Forrest was very concerned about the development of this tract and the impact that it would have on the surrounding preserve lands. We are also in discussions with the owner of this property to preserve that as well, so that we can help protect that portion of the preserve. We also have 2 contracts, close to $12 million total, to preserve about 500 acres in the northwest part of the county as part of the Brooker Creek Buffer Preserve. Site. And how did that happen? How did I get a pen? And basically, we have this is the Clearwater property that we tried to acquire that's now been acquired by the same entity that owns the Silver Dollar Range. And then we made contract with the, and James, how do I turn off this pencil thing? Oh, there we go. And so we have the double screen property here that's under contract, and the CB Groves property. They kind of fit in hand in glove. Also important with this is that the double screen ownership owns most of this land over here on the southeast portion of that lake. These are the heirs, the K. O'Rourke family. So they're very reserved and cautious in their real estate dealings. They're going to see how this first one goes. And if it goes well, we hope to be negotiating with them on the balance of this site. And we are in discussions with the Silver Dollar folks regarding that property as well, and some type of a transaction to preserve most of it through ELAPP. We have also contracted for the Hockman property up in the Rocky Brushy Creek. This site got some notoriety recently because there was an apartment complex proposed for parcel 113, 112, 111, and 110. That was going to involve one or more crossings in the trail. They've also proposed an overpass. With the Hockman purchase, which are these two parcels in between, it would make any further or any development of any size basically impossible. We're also pleased to advise you that we're currently finalizing a contract on parcel 110. We are still in negotiations on parcel 113, but we may not be successful with that. Here's a close-up of the aerials. These are the two Hockman properties. This is the Upper Tampa Bay Trail. This is the Citrus Park Athletic Complex over here. And I think Pete Fowler even might have remembered when I was trying to work on some of these. This is the other parcel, and we should be going to the board with this contract sometime in July. We just got the appraisals in on, this is the Holmberg property. This parcel down here is the Bomboyette Preserve. We have Hobson Simmons Road over here to the east. I'm sorry, the west end of the property. This is the edge of the reservoir adjacent to the site. And we had never suspected that Mr. Holmberg would want to even talk to us, let alone sell us the property. And we're interested. This is going to create a little creativity on our side. We are going to be buying the property and having to use ad valorem funds because he wants to continue his nursery operation on this part for the next 10 years. Our concern was that if we bought the rest of the property and didn't have control over this portion here, that then there would be this in-holding, which would make long-term management and the objectives of connecting these preserved lands with these preserved lands by the reservoir. We've just got the appraisals completed. We still have some things to work out with bond staff and final negotiations with Mr. Holmberg, but that one could be coming down the pipe. And Jan, yes, we have been in negotiations on the Triple Creek property. I know you've questioned the past few times. We are.
Kurt, can't we abandon that property, Kurt? I mean, really, Jan doesn't need that.
I desperately want that one.
We're looking at some updated valuations that look at certain aspects associated with CDD funding improvements here that are difficult to address. It's more of an investment value, but it will show. Our appraisers are looking at it very carefully, and we're working closely with the developer on finalizing these. Tampa Bay Waters agreed. This is a tract we hope to have under agreement relatively soon. This is everything up here is Lake Dan that's been preserved. And one thing that's not on the list that I forgot to add is the Riverton property, this area in red on the Little Manatee River. We have a $5 million grant through the Restore program. This was originally slated for the Reeder Farms tract in the Cockroach Piney Point Creek site, where the surrounding property is owned by Swiftmud. Mrs. Reeder bought out the last other party associated with that property, and she is not interested in working with the county at all. This was another property that was included in the grant, and we are proceeding. We are working with the CDD, because right now it's part of the South Bay CDD, so that when we acquire it, it will not be in the CDD. Some of that $5 million will also be used for access improvements. We'll fund the restoration. Now, a couple of other projects I want to bring you up to speed on. At one of the last meetings, we talked about this project. This is Big Bend Road on I-75. And as part of the interchange project, the FDOT needed these 2 strips of land here that were part of the Golden Aster Scrub Preserve that we acquired in the mid-90s and then sold to the state. As part of this transaction, the state conveyed to FDOT right-of-way easements on these 2 parcels in red, and the county conveyed to the trustees this green triangle to compensate for 150% of the area. And we will be funding the restoration of this to add this to the preserve lands. That's been approved by the board. That transaction is closed, and that's moving on. We do have a new issue that we need to bring to your attention, more for information purposes. And this is, again, there's Big Bend Road on I-75. The county is working on the construction of the Paseo Mar flyover to connect the Apollo Beach 41 interchange over here through the Waterset development over I-75. There's no interchange there. And then connect up to Balm Road. As part of this project, they are going to be going through Bullfrog Creek. There's a slight error on this map. No portion of the ELAPP property over here is being impacted by the road. All of the impacts are within the Belmont development to the north. With wetland impacts, you need wetland mitigation. This is the Tampa Bay Drainage Basin. There are no wetland mitigation banks that could handle any of that mitigation. So we found a portion of the Balm Scrub addition, that's part of the Balm Scrub Preserve over here, based on Ross's recommendation, and they are going to go into this property here, and it's basically severely altered and degraded. I think there's some retention ponds here as part of this agricultural operation, because it slopes downward north to south towards the Bullfrog Creek. And they will come in and provide us with access improvements out to the public road over here, and improve this with either improve degraded wetlands or do some wetland creation. As part of this, just like we did with the Port Authority down at Cockroach Bay, the Expressway Authority down at Cockroach Bay, they came in and did restoration, created wetlands, and restored the site. We are doing that here, and as part of the Army Corps permit, we have to convey a conservation easement on this property, just on the area where there's wetland creation. They've approved, we've gone through the process so that we will be having an agenda item where we're conveying this interest. Bond Council has already approved it. Wanted to make you more aware of this. I don't believe any formal action is required, but want to make sure there were no objections from the committee.
Is there anyone on the committee that would like to speak to this?
Madam Chair, I don't want to speak to that, but we skipped item 9A that I had questions on.
What is item 9A?
The annual
The
report.
annual report. I would like to hold that to the end of the meeting if we may, please. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, when Kurt was done, because I thought there might be a lot of comments coming on that. Thank you.
This is Sally. I have my hand up.
Okay, Sally.
Is there any way we can get a copy of all these? This particular, I don't see it in my packet.
It's on the back page of that, the way that came through. You mean this Paseo Almar flyover mitigation thing?
Yes.
No. I
Yes.
mean all of these slides for this particular presentation.
Oh.
No, I can send them to you. These are just a collection of maps. A lot of times when we have the presentation in public, we don't send out all these maps.
I understand.
Could you just make them available to everybody through the internet, through email, Kurt?
Sure.
We instead of doing that, Kurt, what is this, a PDF or a PowerPoint?
This is a PDF.
Okay, if you get it to me, I can get it up on a website and then give it to people and they can download.
Okay. Who's this?
Okay. Thank you, Jack. Sally, are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Jack and Kurt.
Yeah, because that'll be a big file.
Yeah, I know. Okay, thanks.
Okay. And again, I wanted to hold the annual report till the end. So if we could finish the things that we need to be informed of, because I think there will be a lot of comment on the annual report. So Kurt, are you finished?
Unless there are questions about these acquisitions.
When the map comes out, would you put on there what the expected prices are?
Well, when they close, they get added to the registry.
Yeah. Well, you like on Fishhawk, you said it was going to be about 1.5 million, and the Brooker
Correct.
Creek buffer was 12.
Between the two of them, yes.
Well, the reason I asked that is if this one has to be funded through ad valorem, we don't have a lot of the ad valorem left, do we?
Well, in this past year, the board budgeted 1.5 million as additional funds for the Two Rivers Ranch project, or that was the intent, just to have it available. There are no funds per se earmarked for Two Rivers Ranch. Our negotiations with Two Rivers Ranch were not successful, but we still the 1.5 million.
Okay.
And that 1.5 million, we have gone through the internal process to make sure that it can be expended on the Holmberg property. Now I'm working through the bond council review, because anytime we do something unique like this that involves leases and such, we go through where we present it to bond council to make sure that they approve it. The conservation easement for Paseo Almar, I had to go present to bond council.
Okay.
So,
Does anyone have,
Ann,
who's asked, is that Ann?
Ann, yeah, sorry. I'm just, Kurt, so how are we doing with our capacity to do some additional purchases that I know you're working on? How are we with regard to money?
The board issued $67 million. I've been told to spend it within 3 years. We're busy.
Okay.
Part
thank you.
of that is why I wanted to hold up the annual report, because those
Okay.
questions will come up. Okay, so thank you, Kurt. If there's no other questions for Kurt.
Kurt, this is Jack Berlin. It sounds like you've been very busy and very successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you get that Triple Creek, we'll really have a party out here. All right, so we're at number 10, land management update. Ross Dickerson, please.
Okay, and I'm gonna try to share my screen here. Is it working? I see
Yeah.
a bright green around my screen, so I'm guessing you all can see what I'm looking at now.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. All right, great. So I kind of changed the format of the site management updates and put everything into tables and gave pricing and status updates and everything for what we're doing. Tried to make it a little cleaner. And hopefully you all have this file so you can print it out as you need. But we'll just go through it. So for prescribed fire, our annual objective every year, of course, is 3,700. That will be going up to 9,200. But right now we're keeping 3,700. And since the beginning of this fiscal year, which is October, We've already reached 4,332. So we're well on our way to over exceeding our annual objective. And you can kind of see in here the pattern of burnings. If you look at the number of burns, we don't burn much in October, November, December, not only because it's dry, but it's not the proper time of year to be burning for our Florida ecosystems. And then we start picking it back up in January, February, March, which is the time you want to be burning to, or actually all the way up until July, to promote seed growth or seed production on grasses. Unfortunately, this year, March, April, May, and June, it got a little slim because we got dry out there. But now we're starting to get plenty of rain and the burning has picked back up. We have a little over $500,000 in grants as of right now. A couple of new ones that came through since our last general committee meeting are the Lower Green Swamp hydrological improvements. Both of them came from the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, one through the Environmental Restoration Fund and one through their regular annual budget. They're giving us almost half of the money necessary to do the entire project, the phase 3 project at Lower Green Swamp Reserve. So we're very grateful for those funds. Site management and restoration. The Stallion Hammock restoration is complete and it's in a quarterly maintenance phase now. That was done by SwiftMud. Our Bomb Scrub habitat restoration, which is the largest direct seeding habitat restoration we've ever done in Hillsborough County. We are moving forward with that. It's out, the bids have already come in and we started controlling the exotics, preparing for seeding this fall. Brooker Creek Buffer Habitat Restoration. This is money that we're getting from the tree fund and we're going to be starting that process soon. Cracker Road, Hillsborough County paid for all the engineering for the project out there and SwiftMud is paying for the actual construction costs. There was a little concern a couple of weeks ago. We didn't know if SwiftMud was going to pull out of the project with the revenues decreasing over the next couple of years, but they are moving forward and they're going to be spending about $2 million on restoring those fish ponds out there, which is great. Lower Green Swamp hydrological improvements. We already mentioned that one. We're putting in 16 blocks out there to restore the hydrology across the northern, pretty much the northern northwest portion of the site. And that'll be our final phase of hydrological restoration. Upper Little Manatee River. This is another area that's going to be mostly direct seeding. This is the area a couple of years ago where that SwiftMud came in and we gave them title to. It's kind of in the middle of Little Manatee River. There used to be a tomato farming operation on this area and they came in and they're actually going to foot the bill to do all the restoration out there. Schultz Nature Preserve. These are just smaller projects that our staff is conducting on an annual basis. Schultz Nature Preserve, we did some native plantings out there, some with the money that we received from Brant Henningsen's Conservation Award, and then some with our money. Tropicana, this is down in southeast Hillsborough County. We sprayed that area for exotic control. Willow Road, this is also in South County. And trespassing. So we took that area and we're actually planting it as a pine plantation. So over the years, as those trees begin to grow and take over the area, it'll make it a lot harder for ATVs to get in there. Rocky Creek Coastal, more exotic control, which everybody knows that's pretty much the biggest thing that we do is exotic control. Brooker Creek Headwaters forestry mowing. This is native upland habitat restoration where we go in and we reduce the underbrush, burn it, and it comes back to as natural flatwoods. Bomb scrub forestry mowing, same thing. Little Manatee River Brazilian pepper and hardwood reduction. This was spraying and hardwood removal of Brazilian pepper across 178 acres. Alafire River Corridor exotic plant control. This is controlling an area that we planted in-house about 5 years ago, and it's actually come along very well. The grass in there is a Bermuda exotic and very hard to control, so we're constantly coming back into spray, but it looks like the natives are finally taking over. Oh, I guess I have willow on there twice by accident. But you can see we're doing a lot of work out there. We're currently restoring a little over 3,000 acres of preserved lands at a cost of $8.6 million. So we've been really busy these last 12 months. Public access, and I know that Chris is going to talk more about public access and the amazing things they're doing with the volunteers. But public access, we're down to only having a handful of sites left that don't have public access. And some of them are because we either just recently purchased it and we haven't mapped out the trails. Some are because we're figuring out how to make sure the roads stay stabilized, like Alafia River North Prong. It's an old phosphate mine, and we need to make sure that people are safe when they go out there. And some of them, we're just waiting on parking areas or other things so that people have access to these sites. But we've been getting a lot of use on our sites. I want to say, and Chris can correct me when he presents, I think we have 33 or 34 sites totally open to the public now with marked hiking trail. Great comments. And then we have a couple of miles, as usual, of fencing planned for the next 12 months because we're either replacing and that's all I have.
That's a fantastic report. Let me ask, I usually keep these reports, so I don't have that. Can you email it to me? Please?
Absolutely.
And maybe to any of the other board members or everyone would like to have it.
Janet, the packet we got today.
I'm sorry.
It's in the packet we got today. There are about 6 attachments. This was one of them.
No, I didn't see that. Okay, thank you. Then I have it. I didn't see another packet. Does anyone wish to comment on this? I see.
Yes, I had a couple questions.
Curtis has his hand up.
Yep. What I was going to recommend to Forrest and Ross is that on the ELAPP webpage, we have an ELAPP General Committee meeting and post all these documents to that so they're basically accessible to everybody as well as the public.
Okay, good information.
Ross,
Curtis?
I had two questions.
Sure.
What happens with the situation from the last meeting about the Schultz Preserve? As far as possibly changing the boundaries for the parking lot?
That was approved. You're talking about the expansion of the port property and then them building us a new parking area. So the expansion was approved and that will be moving forward soon.
Oh, wow. How unfortunate. The other question was, did Fishhawk North open today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Curtis. Any other questions? I don't see any more hands up. Okay, Curtis, you mute your, the land. So we're going to hear from Chris Kitty, and then we're going to talk about the annual report. Chris?
I'm here. Let me see if I can figure out how to share my screen here.
Nice to see you here again.
Nice to see all of you.
Sort of see
All
you
right.
here.
Does everybody see my screen?
CELM
outreach report?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. So let me start off kind of where we were at pre-COVID and where we're kind of going post-COVID, because it's definitely changed our outreach strategy. Leading up to COVID, we were doing some really amazing things. We were making some partnerships with some schools that we were really excited about. In the 2.5 months leading up to the disruption with COVID, we had done 3 presentations with schools, field trips, going into their schools, partnering. We're working on partnering with schools that are adjacent to our preserve. So we'd actually go to the school, do a presentation, and then take the students onto a preserve. So that was really exciting. We're hoping to get that going back again when schools get going again. Trailblazer, we had 125 new subscribers for our newsletter in the last 2.5 months. That's January and February and a little bit of March. We had 45 volunteers. Ross touched a little about our Trail Cats program. That was growing amazingly leading up to all this. we were getting new volunteers every week. We were doing trainings with them, teaching them how to use apps to get out and give us trail data. I know Curtis and Joe are both part of that program. They've been really active and doing lots of reports for us. So we're really excited to get that going back again when things get back to normal. For January and February and the first week of March, we did 917 participants in programs, one of the best quarters that we've ever had. So that was really exciting. FCT obligations up until year to date, we had met 23% of our FCT obligations. Most of you probably know, but if you don't, that is programs we are required to do for properties purchased with the Florida Communities Trust Funds. Some of those contracts require that we do a certain amount of programming on those sites. So up into the year to date, we had met 23% of those obligations. Trailblazer opens, our newsletter is getting about 38% open rate. And out of that, 22% of the people that open it click on one of the links to learn more about something. Our net promoter score for our actual programs that our staff is doing is a 94. That is basically a survey. It's a 1 through 10. It asks you how likely you are to recommend this program to somebody. It's a really good indicator to find out if people are enjoying, if you have a business, if they like your business, or in this case, if you're doing a program, if they enjoy your program. And so we had a score 94. That was really good. Our external program participants, that's programs done by volunteers and partners, had a score of 68. Top achievements, we had our second annual Prescribed Fire Festival at the beginning of February. It was a super, super rainy day. We were hoping to have about 500-600 people out there. Even despite the rain, we still had 150 people show up. If anybody was out there, you know it was torrential downpours all night and most of the morning, so it really affected our turnout. But we still had a really good day, and it turned out really well. We got 2 live media coverages out of that with Fox and ABC, so that was really good. Our annual hiking spree had 3,000 participants this year. This partnership with the Freedom High School, this is one of the ones I was really excited about. That's where we went out to Freedom High School, met with their students, and then took 56 of them out on our Cypress Creek Preserve. We divided them into learning stations and spent about 4 hours out there, moving them around to different learning stations, learning about prescribed fire, land management, and wildlife corridors, and things like that. So that was one of the programs we're really excited about, and getting that going again when things get back to normal. So that was where we're at pre-COVID. Obviously, for these last couple months, we haven't been able to do in-person programming. So we've really looked for alternatives. How are we going to reach people if we can't go out and have live programs? So we've been moving towards virtual programs. One of the things I'm really excited about, let me see if I can bring this up.
Lower Green Swamp. Yes.
Lower Green Swamp. So this is one of the things I'm really excited about. Even when things do get back to normal, I think this is something that people are really going to enjoy. So with this, they'll be able to go to our website, and we'll have a page for all these self-guided hikes, and they can pick a preserve they want to go to, and the map for that preserve will have numbers on it, just the normal trail markers. And they'll be able to download this before they go. And whenever they get to one of those trail markers, they'll be able to click that trail marker, and it'll give an interpretive, basically, story about that area and talk about land management and the ELAPP program and something that's, specific to that area. You guys might, I think it'll take about a minute to play one of these. Would anybody mind if I played one of these? Just kind of get a...
Please do.
All right, so. Let's see how this works.
Trail marker 1. When you look at this trail marker, you'll notice lots of palmetto growing behind it. This important plant provides habitat and a food source for many wildlife species. Its fruit is eaten by bears, birds, and deer, and bees love palmetto flower nectar. Palmetto is a fire-adapted species, having a evolved in Florida's wildfire-prone areas. It's extremely flammable and resprouts quickly when burned. Palmetto can be found in many ecosystems in Florida, including pine flatwoods, palmetto prairie, and as an understory plant in oak hammocks. Palmetto is extremely tolerant of drought and can grow in sandy, dry soil with little nutrients. If you're here early in the morning, keep your eye out for dew-covered spider webs shining in the grass as you hike to the next trail marker.
Thank you, Chris.
Could everybody hear that pretty well?
Yes. Did it?
Cool. So yeah, so we're gonna basically have one of those for every one of our trail systems, and people will be able to download those and basically get our interpretive programming that you'd usually come and do live with us on your own at your own pace. So that's definitely something we're really excited about. Additionally, we are creating interpretive videos. Let me turn my volume down here a little bit. We're creeping, I won't play this because it's through YouTube and stuff and it'll take a while, but we're doing interpretive videos. We're gonna have a different theme every month. This first one we did was on bugs and where to find them and some activities you can do with your kids to go and look for bugs, either at a preserve or in your own backyard. The next one we're gonna do is on gopher tortoises, and we're gonna have a whole series of these every month of these. So those are some of these are things that we're adapting to this kind of new post-COVID era, but these are things that I think even when things get back to normal that we're going to utilize. I think people are really going to enjoy this stuff. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
This is Sally Thompson. I just wanted to say thank you, and I see it's on your Trailblazer newsletter, so anybody who hasn't opened up the Trailblazer newsletter or not subscribing needs to get in and look at these reports.
Chris has done a remarkable job with this program. I think it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. We have a
Peter
great
Fowler. Peter Fowler, did you want to speak?
Hi, yes, I do, Jan. Thank you. Again, I think it's fantastic. I think it's great that all of our preserves or most of them are open now. I wish they were open a little bit sooner, but that's the way it goes. I just wanted to acknowledge that Friends of the County Parks funded some food to make your prescribed fire festival and the hiking spree. And I believe we scholarshiped some of the students from the Freedom High School.
Pete, let me add on to that. So in addition to all the things that Pete just mentioned, the Freedom High School, the Fire Festival, they've also partnered with us for our Trail Cats program, where our volunteers come out on the second Saturday of every month to do trail work. They're actually supplying food for the volunteers. So after we do our trail work day, we all get together and hang out and have a nice lunch that Friends is helping out with. So we've had to stop that during this, but once we get going again, that'll get going again. We really appreciate all your help from Friends.
Yes,
You want to add anything?
I'd like to find out, though, when the insects are going to be consumed and by whom. We haven't purchased them yet.
So I am not, that is all Brad over there.
Oh, that's Brad, okay.
I am not going to feed any bugs to the kids. I'm liability wise, I'm afraid to do that.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant to approve it, but I think we did.
So, for anyone who is unaware, Peter is president of the Friends of the County Parks, and he and his wife, Mrs. Mary Clemens, they've done a marvelous job with the Friends, and we're happy to reach out to ELAPP in any way that we can. Peter, do you have something to add?
No, just thanks for letting us be a part of it. And if anybody is interested in Friends, we have a web page and a Facebook page also.
Courtesy of Jack Berlin, who's put everything together for us. So, Chris, do you have anything else to add?
No, that's all I have.
And Dan, this is Michael Newitt, and I just wanted to also thank Chris for the job, especially for his support of gopher tortoises who have lost so much habitat and support here in Hillsborough County.
You were cut a little bit out there, but I think you were touching on the gopher tortoises, correct?
Yes, support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So Chris Kitty, do you have anything else to tell us before we move on to the annual report?
Nope. That is
Well,
it.
thanks for attending the meeting and for all you're doing to bringing the public to the awareness of the ELAPP program. I don't know if anybody saw it, but I don't remember whether it was last Friday or Saturday morning on, probably Channel 13, Fox Channel. They did a whole thing on Upper Tampa Bay and the trail and the park. So the people are becoming more and more aware of ELAPP and what it means to the people in this county.
Yeah, that, if anybody wants to look at it, it's on Fox 13. That was a really good story we did with them.
Yeah, that was great. So we're going to move on to now. We're going to go back on our agenda, back to under 9, the ELAPP annual report. I know that everybody has had an opportunity to look at it. I haven't been through the entire thing, but I would specifically like to thank the ELAPP committee and the subcommittee that went through, and the staff who led us through all of the re-ranking and putting our sites together, and staff for doing such a marvelous job of putting all of that in the report. Thank you very much. So, Curtis, I think you wanted to speak to the report.
Yes, I had several questions. In the report, it talks about 4 properties that are managed by the city of Tampa. My first question is, why do we not have those on our website additionally to theirs? Just to let people know that they were purchased with ELAPP funds and that the preserves are there, because their website is awful.
This is Kirk Gremley. And we've been a little bit remiss in putting enough information on the county webpage and the annual report. Those sites that were acquired with ELAPP funds show up, and let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. I hope this is it. Nope, that's not it. Try one more time. There. Can all of you see the overall ELAPP map?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Everything where we spent any ELAPP funds on shows up on this map. So we may not make, and in the annual report, we list each one, and the intent is that the annual report will have active links at the name where you click on that name, you can go to that site. So we've now, with this new map and also the re-ranking, we'll be posting all these maps after the board approves this. So we'll show examples. The city of Tampa property that we talked about today, they own and they manage it. It shows up here. The South McDill 48, the same thing is true there, as well as Cypress Point Park over here. They may not show large, but they do show because some of them are relatively small sites.
So where will this annual report be posted?
It'll be posted. It will be in the under the Conservation Environmental Lands Management webpage, under the county webpage. There will be a tab that says ELAPP, and then everything ELAPP will be on that page.
Okay. My second question is actually about Cypress Point. I haven't been to all of them, but I've been to McKay Bay, and that has signage that ELAPP was involved. But at Cypress, there's absolutely no signage that ELAPP was involved, no education, and that's a wonderful opportunity at that location.
You're speaking of Cypress Point?
Yes. Would there be a reason that we wouldn't put a board up explaining when everybody else involved in the project has signs up that they were involved, but ELAPP doesn't?
Forrest, are you there?
Hey, Kurt.
Would this be something that you would bring up to the City of Tampa Parks Department?
Sure. We can talk with Brad Suter and work out, signage and also get a look at what kind of signage is up there currently and see if it can be modified or perhaps just another sign put up that talks about the ELAPP program.
Okay, because the reason I'm pushing for that location is you probably have more people using that location than in one Saturday than all the other preserves put together in a month. And that was the other question I wanted to ask. When you're monitoring the ongoing city, when there's a problem, who gets in discussion with them? The problem at this location is you have about 100 to 125 parking spaces. On the weekend, there's a huge queue of cars waiting for parking spaces. But there's like a side street around that could be converted into parking spaces without causing any more paving, but it's closed. So cars are just queued up waiting for somebody to leave. It's tremendous to have such a problem, but it's not being addressed.
So again, from an operational standpoint, that would be the city's responsibility. When I talk with Brad Suter, I will bring that up to him.
Thank you.
Forrest, didn't you have a similar situation down at the Apollo Beach Park on the north end of the Apollo Beach Hammerhead?
Yeah, we've had parking issues there for a while. But again, that's an area that Hillsborough County, through our department, that we maintain. So in the case of Cypress Point, that is maintained by the city.
But I just bring that up, showing that these locations where we're providing access to Tampa Bay seem to be very popular, period. And it's a problem that both the city and the county share, that, people want to get to the water.
Kurt,
that's true.
Kurt, you're exactly right. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's great to have so much activity, but there are times when it can become overwhelming. And at Apollo Beach in particular, we've had to place no parking signage for about a quarter of a mile down the road in front of residences and just along the street, because once our parking lot fills up, you start to get folks, parking all up and down Apollo Beach Boulevard.
And also, it's a delicate balance between overuse of the preserve. You don't want to put too much parking out there, because at Apollo Beach, we just had to spend another $15,000 to $20,000 to fix erosion issues that are coming from our users.
This is Sally. I want to mention, you mentioned a couple of city sites. It might not be a bad idea to look at all of the city sites and make sure there is ELAPP signage, because the city in the past has been very unhappy that not enough sites were purchased under the ELAPP program. And if they're not recognized within the city, we have no way of saying that, yes, there are ELAPP sites. So that might be something worth looking at. Hello?
Yes, Sally, I think you're absolutely correct about that. But we also have to remember that even though the city really led the voting on the ELAPP program when it was first started, that the city, according to, as you'll recall, Ron Rotella, the city's not about preserving land, it's about development.
Well, Ron Rotella is
there's not too many pieces yet to have in the city.
But Ron Rotella isn't there anymore, and I still think that people need to be aware of what the program is. There is participation within the city, or there is involvement.
Oh, yeah.
And Sally, this is Forrest. What we can do also is go back and look at the agreements that we have with the city of Tampa for multiple preserves, Cypress Point, Port Tampa Restoration, South McDill 48, and take a look at the language in that agreement and see if there's anything that discusses signage and recognition of the ELAPP program and signage.
Okay. Well, if there isn't, we probably ought to get something in there or whatever. I don't know. But it'd be a shame to have parcels within the city that are ELAPP parcels and not have any recognition.
Well, that's true. And, people forget, as decades go by. So we don't want that to happen.
And, we may have another referendum down the road, and it would be good to have it, them noticed. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sally, along those same lines, I think it might be interesting to have some idea of the use of these particular parks that are along the waterfront or other parks that have a lot of use, because the county commission previously had been very concerned about sites being open to the public or not. And so I think it's important that the county commission see how all of these parks are used. And I wanted to ask Joe Guidry, I noticed sometimes the parking over at Violet Curry is difficult because there's so many cars there. Have you ever had a problem?
I'm participating. I'm not involved in this conversation. What's up? How you doing?
You're on mute, Joe.
Joe,
you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, parking is a problem there, and there's also quite a bit of litter at that place, at the entrance. And the entrance on 15th Street, they don't allow parking there. So, or in the past, they've cited people when they've parked there. There's really no parking place where there's a neighborhood entrance there. The one on Sinclair Hills, gets a fair number of cars, and they say a lot of people are not very kind to the place.
Joe, when I was over there the other day, something that struck me as odd was there's people, I guess, that are working that drive a vehicle, and that's where they choose to hide until their supervisor finds them.
Yes. Well, they've had problems with illegal activities there too, which you can imagine. So it's a great preserve, and it gets a lot of use, and most people are really enjoy it, and a lot of families. But it also gets some kind of rough use too, and because it is so close to industrial and urban areas.
and there's a lot of apartments within an easy walk too.
Yeah. And it's not far from Nebraska. Like you say, there are a lot of businesses where people can run over and park and eat their lunch or whatever. But, we've had problems in the past where there have been some illegal activities, and we've had to call the sheriff's department. It kind of comes and goes. It's, but it's during the, when it was closed, the litter really got worse. So once we start doing work days again, I think it would be a good idea for us to meet out there and trail cats and do a job there.
That's going to be one of the first ones we have scheduled, Joe.
Ross, down at Bomboyette, where we put in that parking lot for the mountain bike trails, how well utilized is that now?
It's packed on a daily basis.
Perhaps we could get some photos just to keep when these places are really busy on, and just be able to show how these parks are used. There may come a time when it's important for the county to see, what we need as far as maintenance and upkeep of them and just how the people delight in using them. So I think maybe some photos when any of our employees are out at these sites would be appropriate.
That's a good point, because at Bomboyette, people come from around the state to use that facility, the bikers.
Jan, we
Yeah.
can take pictures, and we also have plenty of emails that we can send to future board members from the COVID-19 times complaining about our parks being closed. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of complaints, so they know how well utilized these preserves are.
Anybody have a status on Lake Park and how much of it is open now?
Jan, it's 100% open as
It
of
is.
today.
Oh, good, good. Thank you. I've had a lot of people ask me about it, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, all of our parks and nature preserves are now open. Of course, there are some facilities within each park that are still closed. Primarily would be playground equipment and picnic shelters. Any areas where you can get gatherings of 10 or more people.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment about the annual report?
This is Sally again along the, I know we have Friends of the Parks, but have we adopted, how many parks have we adopted? And should we have an adoption program because of these challenges? I'm not asking for people to do more work, but I just wonder, it could, anything from neighborhood associations to whatever, could we identify needs that parks might have that we could try to enlist the community around the parks or whatever?
Is Jack Berlin still with us?
Sure. Hello.
Jack, you might talk about the Parks Board and the Friends of the Parks and what's going on there as far as park sites and getting these adoption programs underway.
Well, we we have not made a whole lot of progress, and we've been thrown back. But I think what the best answer to Sally's question is the Friends. The Friends has money. If any side, either the conservation side or the recreation side, has or identifies needs, they bring it to the Friends, and we will do whatever we can to find a way to fund it. The best thing in the world for us to do, and this is what Jan is talking about, is we need to raise more money. And what we've been talking about over the last couple of years with the Parks Board, going back and forth between Friends and the Parks Board, and ultimately we'll have to go up to the OCC, is putting up some donation placards in some of the parks to try to raise funds. We won't raise a lot, but we should be able to raise tens of thousands of dollars this way, and try to make that like an annuity plan. So if you want to keep your sign up in a park that says this park is sponsored by Tico, or this park is sponsored by Publix, or whoever, they would have to spend that whatever number of thousands of dollars a year it is to keep that placard up. So that's what Jan is referencing. It is, I think glaciers have moved faster than we have, and I take full blame for it, but the hope is at some point in time we can raise, we have the Iron Ranger program in some of our parks where people can give donations, force people can touch funds. So, but we do have boxes at some of these places where people can donate to the park. Pete's lovely wife is helping us with that a little bit, I hope.
We also, for everybody here at the ELAPP meeting, you can make donations through your purchases at Amazon if you dedicate your purchases to the Hillsborough County Friends of the County Parks. Peter, do you have that?
Yeah, people don't know how that works. Basically, you, instead of log on to Amazon.com, you log on to smile.amazon.com. All your passwords will still work, and then you designate Friends of Hillsborough County Park as your designated charity, and Amazon sends us a little bit of money after you make enough purchases.
Every penny counts.
Right.
Does anybody else want to speak to the annual report?
Would that be something, excuse me, real quick, that Chris could put in the newsletter and then or would that be not the separation of powers or something?
Yeah, well, we have an agreement with the county to work, so I think Chris could probably do that, huh, Chris?
Yeah, because we do have an agreement with Friends, I am allowed a little more leeway, and I probably could. I'd have to probably to review that, but we could probably look at something like that.
Okay.
The library, every event that the Friends sponsors, they make an announcement and ask for donations. That rolls up under the Board of County Commissioners also.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can definitely do something like that to every newsletter. So, good idea.
At least send them to the Friends Facebook page or the Friends website, and if people want more information, we've also talked about some sort of, non-member donor program. There's all kinds of things we can do. We just need to get some more momentum. The Friends of the City Parks, they get involved with these big beer fests, so that's where they get all their money. So
I don't see any hands up. Are there any more comments to be made? Anybody like to say anything?
I have a question.
Who's asking?
That's Joel Jackson.
Joel, go right ahead, please.
There's a couple of different sites mentioned. One is Night Park Addition, and another is Lake Stemper North. Have exactly the same description. Are they the same thing, or are they two separate tracks?
They are two separate tracks.
Okay, well, in the report, the description of it is exactly the same wording, and I was just wondering if maybe that might raise some confusion.
We'll check that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah.
Any?
This is Jack Berlin.
Jack Berlin, of course you're allowed to talk. Did you put your hand up?
No, everybody needs to go probably have dinner, but the last thing I have put, and I'll put any of these documents that you want on a free site. If you, hey Mary, if you want me to put any of these documents up, I can put them up on a site, and then they're viewable on any device. You don't have to download them if you don't want to, but you can, or print. So I'm happy to do that.
Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you. I think that the biggest issue was 9 B through I, and wanting to have the map detail. Is there some other information that people want Jack to put on?
I put the entire annual report and all the maps that I've gotten. I will put all the ones that were attached in the email up there. The nice thing is you can view them without having to download them, especially on a mobile device.
Wonderful. See, the Friends of the Parks just loves having Jack Berlin on our board because he does all this kind of work for us.
What's your website, Jack? This is
I'll send it out.
Okay. Would it make sense to have it linked to the Hillsborough County ELAPP site?
I don't know that I know that on the rec side that they use it. I don't know what the rules and regs are there.
Okay, just a question.
I've tried to do that a few times, Jack, and I've gotten some kickback from our web.
Right.
Okay.
Well, if there, I would like to just make a couple comments before we adjourn the meeting. I would like to thank James Brewer for his very helpful program to get us all moving in this direction. However, I would prefer to meet in person and see everybody's smiling face. Forrest, in September, will we have a meeting or not? Since we're not having any new sites recommended, there could be boundary modifications or something. Will the general committee meet in September?
I think we should meet in September, just to get back on track.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And then if needed, the site selection committee will be called back into play. Okay,
Yes,
thank you. Well, if there's no other business to come before the ELAPP General Committee, I thank you all. I thank you for your forbearance in trying to work our way through this. And to James Brewer, thank you so much for helping us. And to Susan Fernandez, our attorney, for being here. Forrest, Ross, and Kurt for all of your information. It's worked pretty well. Thank you. And if there's no objection, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
How do we close it?
Accept the